Hindu pilgrims attacked by Islamist militants in Kashmir. A horrific attack on Hindu pilgrims in India controlled Kashmir has left 9 dead and 33 injured after Islamist militants opened fire on a bus carrying worshippers, causing the vehicle to plunge into a deep gorge. The bus was en route to the revered Shiv Khori cave temple when the militants struck on June 9th in the Reasi district. Or right, sorry, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Quote, initial reports suggest that terrorists fired upon the passenger bus. Due to the firing, the bus driver lost balance of the bus and it fell into the gorge, said Superintendent of Police Mohita Sharma, confirming the chilling details of the assault. Well, India's home minister vowed, quote, that the culprits of this dastardly attack will not be spared and will face the wrath of the law. The militant ambush marks a dangerous escalation in the long simmering conflict over Kashmir between India and Pakistan, both nuclear armed rivals who have fought multiple wars over the Himalayan territory. The Kashmir region has been a flashpoint since the subcontinent's partition in 1947, with Muslim majority Kashmir opting to join Hindu majority India over Pakistan, igniting an armed rebellion in 1989 by militants seeking independence or a merger with Pakistan. Tens of thousands of civilians, rebels, and soldiers have been killed over the decades of turmoil. Oh my God. So this is really bad. And we have been seeing escalating violence against Hindus once again in Jammu and Kashmir over the past few years. And this is the most recent incident. So, here are some details of the attack. So, basically, there was a bus full of Hindu pilgrims, and they were going to go visit a special shrine cave. And they were all on this bus together. And then all of a sudden, some militants, some terrorists, let's be clear, some terrorists fire just open fire on the bus. And when they open fire on the bus, from the witness statements that I have read from survivors, it sounds as if the bus driver was shot and killed. And then after he was shot and killed, the bus careens off a high precipice and goes and just falls deep into a gorge, killing 9 people, mostly children, I believe 6 children, and injuring 33 other people. And after this bus, like, falls off a freaking cliff into a ravine, the terrorists continue to just open fire indiscriminately on the bus. And the survivors had to lay there and pretend to be dead until the attack finished. And it's just open casual murder of non-Muslims by terrorists for no reason.
What were they trying to achieve from this in your, like, what is this about?
Okay. Well, I mean, one, it's sending a message, right?
Mhm.
I'm For those who are not familiar, or Hindus were ethnically cleansed from the Jammu and Kashmir region in the 90s through mass terror. Um this is why, like, I used to not have any opinion on the Kashmir conflict because I just didn't really know anything about it. And then I went back and watched a documentary where they actually they just walk through footage of the opinions and what was happening at the time. And it is so obviously just an Islamist movement. It's just an Islamist movement. It's just like, no, we don't want Hindus here. We don't want to be part of a Hindu majority state. We want to be Islamists. We want to implement Sharia law. They're like, especially back in the day, raising all these posters of Khomeini, demanding we want Sharia law, like, and how it when I was watching this footage, I was speechless over how extremist the civilians were. Speechless. Speechless. The open hatred, extreme hatred of the Hindus exhibited of the civilians that were interviewed originally back at that time, speechless. Absolutely speechless. So terroristic. And so there was one group that originally claimed to have claimed this attack. I think it was called the Resistance Front, and they have associations with the human pieces of shit known as Lashkar-e-Taiba. Fuck Lashkar-e-Taiba for eternity. Horrible. That a lot of people don't know in the West don't know about Lashkar-e-Taiba. Horrific. Horrific, horrific people. So there but then that group that was supposedly associated with them, like, retracted claiming the attack. So a lot of the specifics and details and motivations are not entirely clear, except for the fact that it's just, I mean, hatred towards non-Muslims, particularly the idolaters and fire worshippers, quote unquote, that we were just talking about. But I thought this was an important story to cover, because a lot of people don't, I think, appreciate like the nature of this kind of violence. Um, yeah.
Can I take like a step back and look at use this as opportunity to remind people to use this as an example to show that why this is all about Islam and toxic ideas rather than anything else. Because if you look at what's happening here, the people who are saying that these people who are killing these Muslims who are killing Hindus, right? This is a land where Islam is foreign to it. Islam did not come from India or Pakistan or from the subcontinent. Okay, these are the same people. So these are the people that most of their history had the same geography, they had the same history, they had the same culture, and they had the same ethnicity, and they had the same social hierarchy. So if you want to make this about anything else, these people for most of their history had all of those things the same. And then you invite Islam, and now they're killing the Muslims are killing the Hindus for having different ideas. Like, there's no better demonstration of how toxic Islam is and how powerful bad ideas are. Who are trying to make this about other things like class, ethnicity, culture, different historical culture. All of that. They're the same people. But a toxic virus named Islam came to this land and convinced some of them that the other one are worthy of death. And now they're turning on them. There's nothing else that is different between these people. These people are were Hindu. Their ancestors were Hindu. They just were convinced by a toxic Islamic ideology that they're different, and now they're shooting the
Or
other people.
coerced back in the day, let's
Yes,
be
or
clear.
coerced. Yes. So when people are trying to make this about race or geography or anything else, just remind them that India. Just look at them. Look, tell me that the people who are shooting and the people who were in the bus, what what is the difference? Is it their ethnicity? Is it their geography? Is it their history? What is it? It's nothing. It's just Islam. It's just Islam.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is one of those instances where it's like it's just so clear that Islamism is being used as a weapon to destabilize the superior country. Oh, I wonder where else we see that. Shocking. People are like, "Oh my god, no, Pakistan has nothing to do with this. Pakistan isn't using this to get a foothold to destabilize India." What? No, are you kidding me? It's such it's such bullshit on its face. Um, Ahmed is asking, have you watched the Kashmir Files? This is a
Oh,
movie for those who are not familiar. Armin and I watched the Kashmir Files a few years ago when it came out. Let me be clear. This is legitimately one of the worst movies I have ever seen in my entire life.
it was an insult to the victims of
It really
the
was.
Hindu
It
victim.
really, really
Yeah,
was. It
I
really
see.
was. I was thinking about that today because it portrays the Kashmiri people as nothing more than literally like jello for knees, completely weak people that could it's like the men have no spine. Like it's crazy. But here's the thing. I God, sorry, just remembering certain scenes from the movie just make me kinda laugh because it's so crazy and obscene. Um, One thing that the movie does touch on is the idea that leftists are essentially brainwashing people to support free Kashmir on the basis of just lies about the movement and what it stood for. And to that end, they do have a point because the exact same shit happens with the Islamists aligning with the leftists to spread lies about Israel and about what's the actual motivation and attitudes about what's going on in Palestine as a weapon against the Israeli state, all that stuff. There's some interesting parallels. Um, so that kind of leftist angle is portrayed in a like such an exaggerated way in the movie, but I kind of see like what they were doing there. Um, but that movie was insane. Um,
Can I show this picture of the child, like victim, on the on screen? Is that? Can I show that?
I don't think so. I think it's better if you don't. It's really, really
Okay, so
sad.
no, no. Is it against YouTube policy to show because it's not violent? It just shows a child.
Um, I think it's probably better if you don't, just in case.
Okay, so there's just no. There's a picture of it of a child here, who was in the bus who died as well on the
Yeah.
ground. Her body, his body. I just wanted to
Mhm.
just yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I know this is one of the most like bummer stories of the week, but I just think it's important to acknowledge that this violence and hatred against the infidel is happening everywhere. Um, oh, okay, so we've got a bunch of super chats. Call of Ghidorah saying, which non-Western countries would you guys say has the worst relationship with the Islamic world? Also, praise to Odin. France and Sweden
Is it
immediately spring to mind.
Iran and Israel comes to my mind. And I wouldn't say they have a bad relationship with Islamic world. I would say the Islamic world has a bad relationship with them. The Iranian people are being ruled by Islam, even though they're not Islamic. So I would consider that to be a bad relationship. And Israel
Oh,
is
wait, they
being
said non-Western country.
non-Western, yeah. So Iran, I would say Iran and Israel.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Hmm. I mean, Israel is surrounded by Islamic uh,
yeah.
countries who, with many people who want it annihilated, and Iran is being ruled by an Islamic government who is forcing Islam on a population that doesn't want Islam.
Maybe back in the day, the Soviet Union, but I think Israel still takes the cake.
Mm.
Um, okay. Angie, thank you for another super chat saying thank you for bringing this forward.
Mixed news. Do you know who makes the most amazing, gorgeous, and other adjectives that I can't use here on YouTube, blasphemous art ever? We do! And for some reason, we are giving it away for free. Download them now using the link in the description before we change our mind.